So one thing that doesn't always go hand in hand with Nintendo is sales and deals when it comes to existing titles. However, in the Nintendo Switch era of gaming, they have stuck to a much better schedule of offering discounts specifically through the eShop side of things. And in today's video, I want to break down and discuss the latest brand new eShop sale that just recently went live and break down some of the notable discounts that you may want to pay attention to and take advantage of right now. What's up, Nation? If it's your first time on the channel, make sure you join Sunbro Nation by subscribing below, hit the like button on this video if you enjoy it today, and make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming news. And as I mentioned, guys, today we are taking a look at the brand new Blockbuster sale that went live on Nintendo's sales and deals pages, and sometimes you will find notable discounts, as this one claims to save up to 70% on select digital games and software bundles, DLC, all that good stuff. I myself tend to gravitate towards physical game sales when possible. However, there are sometimes deals on the Nintendo Switch eShop that, quite honestly, the discounts are good enough that if it's a game that is not a big deal to me to have in the physical collection or not, I do just take advantage of some of the 50% plus off discounts. And you can see right at the top of the list, kicking it off with Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, which I thoroughly enjoyed this game. It is 30% off right now at $41.99. Monster Hunter Rise plus Sunbreak, which is notable because that is the DLC expansion for Monster Hunter Rise, and that's 28% off right now at $49.99 as opposed to its $70 regular retail. There's some repeat offenders that we almost always see go on sale on deals like this, and Doom Eternal is one of those. It is on sale a lot, to be quite honest, and it's 67% off or $29.69 right now. Sonic Colors Ultimate Deluxe Edition is one that I would check out if you are a hardcore Sonic fan, as it did, to be fair, launch in a very broken state and had a ton of bugs and glitches, but they have since patched a lot of those, if not all to my knowledge, and it now runs significantly better than it did at launch. However, if you do have a different console, you may have a slightly better experience on something like a PS4 or PS5 or Series X, Series S version of this game, because unfortunately the Nintendo Switch version does not run at that clean 60 frames per second that I think is a really big difference maker in games like Sonic. Now, continuing on the list, you do have games like Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. If you haven't played that already, it's surprising because it's one of the most talked about games, but if you do want it on a portable form factor like the Switch, it's 50% off. No More Heroes 3, this one is notable, I would say, and it's one that you may want to look into, because unless I'm mistaken, I can't remember seeing a steep discount on this particular game. And while the reviews were kind of mixed for this one, and I haven't been the biggest No More Heroes fan myself, at $29.99 it might be worth checking out. And this is also one that is headed to other consoles in the near future. Now, Grand Theft Auto the Trilogy, the definitive edition, is one that's 50% off and probably still not cheap enough for how broken that game unfortunately runs on the Switch. They've done a lot of bug patches and fixes, but it launched in such a broken state that you almost still have a comedy reel of the types of glitches that were featured in the game. And it's one of those things that the first impression fell so flat on its face. Rockstar rushed it out, and I still think that at $29.99, while that is one of the better discounts we've seen on it so far, you could argue that just on principle alone, it's worth passing up that collection altogether. If we see it go down beneath the $14.99 to even $19.99 range, I would entertain it more. Persona 5 Strikers at 60% off or $23.99. Diablo 2 Resurrected is half price right now, and I had fun with that game playing online with friends. It is going to be one of those that's good to play in the OLED and handheld, especially with its classic style graphical look to it. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1+2 Digital Deluxe Edition, cannot recommend that game enough, especially if you are a fan of the classic Tony Hawk series, as this one is just quite honestly the best remaster or really recent release in Tony Hawk franchise history that I can remember, and I'm ready for future remasters like this to happen. Unfortunately, Activision Blizzard did choose to dissolve the team that worked on this particular one that was already in the works and talks to do 3+4 remastered next. I hate to hear that that game has ultimately been shelved, but hopefully we see a future project come back when Microsoft does complete their merger with Activision Blizzard. But that's one that I had a ton of fun with and cannot recommend enough, even the Switch version, as it does run great. Crash Bandicoot fans, 40% off of the Crash Bandicoot Crashiversary bundle, which is essentially like all the Crash Bandicoot games. So if you're a fan, you get it for 60 bucks. It's normally $99, so that is a pretty steep discount there. Then you have Life is Strange True Colors, one of the notable games we talked about that actually uses the AMD FX Fidelity Super Resolution to achieve some of its graphical quality, and that's a feature that I think Nintendo should dive into more. I am personally not a fan of very heavily story-driven games, almost to the point where it feels like you're watching a movie. So this one is not one that I will particularly look into, but if you are a fan of games like that, you may pick it up at 34% off or $39.59 right now on the Switch. Now, we won't highlight every single one of the games that is on there from here, just because there's actually a lot to talk about here. And if I go through every single one, this video will become way too long. But Dragon Ball FighterZ, this one is 85% off. So normally $94.99, it is now $14.24. And these are the kind of sales that I think that if you just want to gamble some of your money and get into something for the first time, which I think if you're a Street Fighter fan, you're going to want to play this type of game, because it is Street Fighter meets Dragon Ball Z with all of the classic characters from that world. And it's very well done. And I think at 85% off and being marked down all the way to under $15, it's definitely worth booting it up and seeing if it's the fighting game that you will get into. And this is an example of one of those kind of sales on the eShop where sometimes it is just quite honestly too good of a value to pass up. Now, you do have MLB The Show 2022, which was a free game trial at one point, coming in at 20 bucks. And you know, as you scroll down the list, you start to see some games you may know, some others you may not. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2 coming in at 15% off, or just $12. That's not a steep discount to begin with, so you know, you could probably wait for a future sale to see if maybe that one gets further discounted. Hades at 40% off is one, especially if you are a fan of roguelike games, that I would look into, because at just $15, that is a fantastic experience and a lot of fun to be had. Hot Wheels Unleashed, while I'm not a fan with how they went for a more realistic racing style on this Hot Wheels game, as I was a fan of Hot Wheels Turbo Racing back on the N64, where you could do crazy flip tricks in the air. I wish they would have stuck with something unrealistic like that. All that said, it's still a quality racing game, and if you like the Hot Wheels theme with a more racing simulation style game, it is now 60% off at just $19.99. Cuphead, now this one is one that if you don't have it already, you should. However, disclaimer with this game is it is one of the most difficult 2D action side-scrolling shooter style. I don't know how to describe this game. It's so unique in and of itself, but I recommend playing through this with a friend. You will die a ton. You do have to learn all the boss movements, all the enemy movements, and really memorize the levels to correctly progress through the game. And there is now a DLC pack that is out for it that I have yet to boot up and play through, but I definitely need to, and I would highly recommend Cuphead, adding it into your collection at 30% off or $13.99 right now on the Switch eShop. Now, Shin Megami Tensei 5, a great installment in the series and a fantastic JRPG, is 35% off of the Deluxe edition that comes in at $55.24. And we have a Get Pikmin 3 Deluxe for 30% off, which I think is interesting since Nintendo just revealed that Pikmin 4 is in the works and should be set for 2023. But you can check out the previous installment that was originally out on the Wii U, of course, then ported over to the Switch at a 30% discount right now. I will be interested to see if Nintendo maybe does one of the free game trials with this, because I think that would be smart as we lead in and Pikmin is being talked about in the mainstream Nintendo news cycle again, to get fans exposed to the series if maybe you haven't played it yet before. Now from there, we get into some of the more publisher focused sales, and we will kind of just breeze through some of these because you do have separate dates here. Just to quickly recap this, everything we talked about in the Blockbuster sale is live right now, and it goes until September 25th at 11:59 p.m. Pacific time. So keep that in mind. Any of the prices, if you are interested in them, you have until the 25th to actually go in and pick those up. Now this one goes to the 22nd for the Ubisoft Spotlight sale, and you have games that you'd expect, like your Assassin's Creed games, your Rabbids Party of Legends. You have an installment, you know, Mario Rabbids the original. If you want to check it out, that is on discount at 25% off right now. Just Dance, you have more Assassin's Creed. Child of Light is one that it's 75% off right now, so maybe worth checking out. I personally am not familiar with that game, but these are the kind of sales that I will just take a chance with something for the first time, because it's $5. You spend that on, you know, a meal somewhere, or if you're going through like a cheap drive-through, or you spend it on a drink in some cases. So, you know, something like that for a new gameplay experience, I do think would be worth it. And then you just have, you know, some other titles that will breeze by. Sega's biggest biggest game sale is another separate one that goes from 9/14 to 9/25 as well. And this is, of course, going to be the Sega titles that you would expect to see. Sonic Origins now has a sale attached to it. I complained about this game when it first launched in the sense that Sega definitely convoluted the pricing. They also didn't offer a physical version, which bothers me as a physical collector, especially for games that I have nostalgia for, like Sonic and the classic collection specifically that I grew up playing on the Sega Genesis. I wanted to see this game released physically. It has yet to be announced, but since digital is our only option for the foreseeable future, I don't see a reason to buy the DLC for this game personally. I will tell you, as somebody who played through the entirety of the story mode and thoroughly enjoyed replaying Sonic 1 all the way through Sonic and Knuckles, I did not feel like I needed to purchase the additional content to enjoy these classic titles, and so you can just pick this up at $27.99 right now, or 30% off. And I definitely recommend, whether you're a current day Sonic fan or a classic Sonic fan especially, pick these up and give these another chance. It is really nice to have these games in native widescreen 16:9 and then also just rebuilt. They look more crisp and better than ever. There were some bugs and glitches that have since been fixed, but for Sonic fans out there, go give this a chance. This is one of the first sales I can remember seeing for this game since it launched, so might as well take advantage of some savings. Right next to it, Shin Megami Tensei 5 that we talked about before. You don't actually have to get the deluxe edition. They also have it on sale for the base game at $38.99, so a cheaper way to get into that title. Once again, Sonic Colors Ultimate, we already covered that. Sonic Mania, 50% off at $9.99 as opposed to the regular $20 price point. Then you have the previous Shin Megami Tensei 3 available. Now from here we will kind of breeze through the rest of the list. If you don't want to wait for certain Sega Genesis games to actually come over as part of Nintendo Switch Online, you can get the Sega Genesis Classic Collection digitally, which would be a nice way to own that one in my opinion. 65% off, $10.49. The one complaint with a lot of these games is that the emulation around them is not quite as smooth as you would maybe want it to be, and Nintendo Switch Online games for Sega Genesis definitely run better and offer things like online play on supported titles. So still though, for $10, the amount of Sega games you get in this Classics collection, I think it's worth paying attention to and potentially picking it up if you are a fan of that Sega Genesis era of gaming. You also have Super Monkey Ball Deluxe Mania Edition, what a digital Deluxe Mania. Anyway, 40% off, $29.99. So for Monkey Ball fans, Super Monkey Ball fans out there, definitely check that out. Sonic Forces, you know, I could take or leave that 3D Sonic installment. Probably not one that I would spend my money on, but it's only $10 right now, 50% off in the eShop. Now you then have some more repeat titles that we've essentially already talked to, but Activision Blizzard running their own sale, lasting at that same time frame of September 25th. So that is the end date for a lot of these games and the sales that we've talked about. One that sticks out that we didn't mention, Diablo 3 Eternal Collection, that is at 50% off or $29.99 right now. And from there we have a Lego sale, which I'm just going to breeze past this stuff. We have a lot of the Lego games, Marvel, and then you also have some Mortal Kombat stuff that's on sale, 75% off. Mortal Kombat 11 is always cheap anytime there is any kind of sale on the eShop. So from there you get into some less known games, ones that I am not particularly all that interested in, so you can scroll through this list yourself. I will have everything linked in the description down below in terms of the sales and deals page, so you can decide if you want to take a deeper dive into any of these ones that we breezed by at the end. But I want to hear from you guys at this point in the video, whether or not you're planning on picking up any of these discounted games. Are you a physical or digital collector typically, and are you like me and maybe you prefer physical but you still take advantage of some of these sales when they are discounted enough? And definitely share with me what games you hope we see go on sale next that are not right now. So regardless of your thoughts and feelings of everything we talked about today, I do look forward to hearing from you all in the comments down below before you leave the video, as I do look forward to getting a back and forth conversation started with you all around these topics. Go watch yesterday's video next if you haven't already, which is on screen right now. Also make sure you like, subscribe, turn on your notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.